Well, well, well. Who do we have here? I have something I have jotted down, which is, well, I want to save it for when more people walk in, because otherwise, it won't have its full effect, as it were. And so we'll begin with a explanation as to why we are having a stream tonight. Looking at the subject of communities. Safe spaces, apparently. A group where you can find salvation and protection. Or so it may seem. A place of healing, a place of growth, as they say. Where we can get identity, a sense of being, a sense of purpose. Oh, how a community is such a wonderful thing. Or is it? For where would we be without communities? We would be alone, isolated, struggling with our own issues and problems, and sinking into depression and despair. Funny how that can still exist within a community, though. On the brochure, it would be said that a community may help with those issues. I found a brotherhood. I found my real family. Such sentiments. Wishy-washy, lovely expressions. The heart speaks out so fondly. And there they are saying how they want to control how they feel and their emotional regulation. Not a very good start. Now, not to be a complete poo-poo head or cynic when it comes to communities. We, for all, are part of numerous communities and groups and organizations, networks, bonds. We are part of a society after all. And inheritably, these bonds create, to some degree, one way or another, elements of dependency, elements of intimacy. And with that is strung in vulnerabilities, trust, and a sense of security. You need to get to know people. You need to get to know your community. It doesn't quite happen overnight. However, it can appear as a beacon in the dark hours, a saving grace, as it were, a source of answers in a landscape of confusion and dismay. Salvation. Save me, rescue me, look after me, love me. And this is why I am bringing this conversation to attention, to highlight the dangers of this heavenly salvation people gravitate themselves towards in hopes of some kind of rebirth, to heal their traumas and pains because they don't know how to do it for themselves. So before we get into how dangerous it really is. And I want people to really embrace. I want you to be afraid this evening, listening to my stream right now. I want you to be fearful. I want you to be scared. Because maybe that way, maybe only that way, you will take responsibility of your self-care that much more seriously. Sadly, I don't see enough people doing that. Once they get through the gates of a community, they become complacent, comfortable, not realizing they are now sitting at the table of a cafeteria of potential supply and fuel for predators who are also walking in through those gates. You've gone in there for safety without realizing just how precariously positioned you have placed yourself in. And that is why I am speaking to you tonight with hopefully a bit of a somber tone, one that might be unsettling to the ears, to make you pause for thought, take stock, pat yourself down, pinch your skin. Am I dreaming? Is this really happening? I thought I left my troubles behind me. I thought I was safe. That's a nice way of thinking about it, from a predator's point of view. However, so there are benefits of a community, yes. It's like a half-truth. You can indeed find answers. You can indeed find companionship, comrades, friends, family, brethren, and so on. But until you have developed the skills and fortitude, the responsibility and accountability to be able to manage and regulate your self-care and emotions, how much of a, how should we put it, reliability are you onto yourself? How do you really know that you got your head screwed on straight? And this is why we will say things like it is important to self-reflect. But if it's something that you've never really done before, how do you know that when you're so-called self-reflecting, that is indeed what you are really doing? Because from the point of view of a predator, oh, this is music to their ears. While you're occupied doing all this hippy-dippy self-love, self-care, self-reflection, while you're trying to be in touch with your emotions and your feelings, you leave yourself open and vulnerable to their attacks without you realizing it. Perhaps you could be confiding in your own worst enemy. Perhaps you could be sleeping with the enemy. Now I see that some people are in the chat room. Good evening, gentlemen. Thank you for joining us here. Now in the past week, maybe less than that, there seems to be a bit of kerfuffle going on in certain community spaces. Now, hopefully we won't go into too much depth regarding such matters, because really they don't warrant such in the grand scheme of things. Not to sound insensitive, but really they don't warrant having such attention drawn to them. But we may touch upon them in terms of reference. And should any names be dropped or sensitive material brought up or incidents as examples, I'm sorry about that. No intentional disrespect in that regard. So what comes to mind in a broad sense as two main issues that have been disruptive for the community and for the members involved in these disruptions and communities. Hopefully this will help straighten them out a bit. The first one is the topic of women associating or infiltrating into men's spaces. Now, obviously, people are going to quickly with their feelings and have their opinions, and that's fine, but that's neither here nor there. We're looking at it as a subject matter. And with that is a sense of trying to preserve a so-called safe space, to have these barriers, to keep the women out. Now, realistically, how feasibly possible is this? I mean, they're gonna be lurking, they're gonna be snooping, prying eyes, what have you. They can go as far as have fake accounts. But what is more, see, that is one thing. But what is more insidious will be the utilization of, say, other men, what we may call as white knights or simps, to do the dirty work for them. The flying monkeys, as they would be referred to in the narcissistic community, and how I personally prefer to refer to them as those of you know, that's generally my introduction into this world of mental madness. So the flying monkey, really. Who are an extension of the predator, or for a lack of a better word, say, this comes from the narcissistic community, so this would be an extension of the narcissist. But there's no reason why someone from any caliber of mental construction could utilize flying monkeys to do their bidding, send them forth and lay the groundwork in preparation for their arrival to the cafeteria of men or whatever community space. And indeed, it keeps the hands clean of the predator, because they aren't doing the work directly themselves. Much more easier for them to have plausible deniability. It was not I who infiltrated you, it was one of my henchmen. And so it's one thing in terms of these men's spaces, to say no to women coming in. But what checks? I mean, it's kind of easy when you think about it. You know, you can identify a woman and say, like, sorry, darling, no can do, access denied, you know. But how do you stop, say, a male henchman flying monkey from infiltrating under the guise of being one of your brothers? And this is going to start getting a bit uncomfortable as we go forward in this conversation, because we're going to start bringing into this eerie idea of, so who can you trust? Who can you confide in? Are we really a community of men on the same page, wanting the same goals and ideals? Or is there people among us out on their own agenda? They got their own prerogatives. They're here in bad faith for lucrative reasons to exploit We have groups such as the PUA, for instance. So that is the first point of contention, that we need to be recalibrating ourselves in regards to. It's one thing to say no to women, but that is very simplistic, very infantile way of seeing things, because the intricacies of what ensues can fly much lower under the radar. Now, personally, certain women are appearingly showing their desire to want to assist men's like aspirations, and that is nice and welcoming. Thank you, Angela. I'm just looking at the comments now. We have a troll. What, the logic only zone? Are you guys sure you're not just a tad bit paranoid? Any trolls coming here tonight belong to me. You think that I'm here to save you from your own struggles and insecurities? No. Well, be you a troll or not, the logic only zone, you're just a free thinker. We enjoy such free minds. Yes, you may stay, and in fact trolls may stay, because tonight I will be invoking the spirit of a predator to further instill the fear into your hearts and minds, so you really appreciate just how precarious of a position and situation you may find yourselves in. And be it paranoia or not, that complacency will be my advantage. You belong to me. How creepy is that? Very. How long I'm going to be able to keep up this sinister act, I don't know. But I'm in the mood. And you're in my stream. You're in my world, which disconnects you from yours. You're on my turf, as it were. That gives me the advantage. Check out my banner I have in preparation for your coming, for your appearances tonight, gentlemen and ladies, if there are any listening. In my world, you belong to me. And with all the emotional disturbances, dysregulation, importance, because obviously everyone's emotions, as much as they may want to try and suppress them and deny them, how that makes your soul much more ripe for the taking. Ooh, I can taste you. I can feel you. I can smell you. And this is how the mindset of the predator is working, consciously or not. They are instinctual creatures, pretty basic in their formation. They need to survive. That means you must go. You must be sacrificed. It's pretty as simple as that. How dare you feel like you're entitled to what should really be my entitlement? You are extensions of me. You belong to me. You are not people. You are food. And food is meant to be devoured. You just don't know it yet. And if you want to tell yourselves lies to make yourself feel more comfortable, to make yourself feel so safe, you want to feel like you got your shit together or something like that, that matters not. In fact, that just makes it that much more easier for me or other predators like me in this role play to take advantage of you. because you won't see us coming. Yes, you are food. In fact, when you came here this evening, this gathering, I prepared the table, but you all brought the food. The predator cannot sustain themselves. He or she requires people. It's an essential part of their existence. You could call it dependency. But that is how they are looking at each and every one of you. You are not separate beings living your own life. How dare you have that that's blasphemy. No, you have gathered to these communities for my convenience so that I can sneak in, infiltrate, pretend to be like one of you. A chameleon, they're sometimes called. And while you're all disorientated, telling each other different etiquettes and things that should be known and procedures or whatnot, disorganized, confused, you're all at different stages of trauma. The predator is an opportunistic, capitalistic entity. They're cowardly also, so they don't initially create the wounds, but they exploit them. And these communities are full of traumatized, damaged, vulnerable people. That makes it easier. You are like microwave dishes. All that needs to be done is to put you in, set a timer, and I can walk away, make myself a nice cup of victim's happiness tears with a couple of spoons of sugar, and I can slurp you down. Make me feel that much more better about myself, about how much control and power and how silly you weak people are. Some may say like sheep, lower than sheep. At least a sheep knows it's a sheep. Many people in these communities think they're invincible, impenetrable. They have such self-assurity. And it is that very thing which will be their downfall. What do we have? Oh, so just have a look at this. Are we having it kicking off? Are we having drama enter my stream here in the chat? An opportunity for me to feed and fuel. Let us see. So going back. Okay, I hear your warnings, Angler. Duly noted, thank you. So the logic only zone is here to lurk and is finding this entertaining. Yes, but you are giving me your attention and your time. So who is taking advantage of who here? This is impressive rhetoric. Well done. Rhetoric? Really? Well, I thank you for your compliments there. Yes. It is impressive because from the point of view of a predator, they will believe they are the top dog. They are the best. They are the grandiose. They step over anyone else. Of course, it's pretty evil to say. I'm role-playing here. Why do you think people, well, not that you would know at this point in this juncture of time, but many people ask me, they say, Billy, how come you hang around questionable people? How come you seem to be aware that so-and-so is maybe showing signs they're quite far along the spectrum of, say, any of these disorders, really. They're very psychotic, they're very borderline, yet you seem to engage with them. Isn't the golden rule to go no contact? Isn't the golden rule to disengage, to set boundaries? My point of view is this: boundaries are much more how should we say, fluid than we may think. I mean, it's a bit deceiving with a title of boundary. You kind of imagine typically that it'll be something solidified, but when you're able to have perspective, have boundaries, etc., you have fundamentally what it comes down to: a sense of self and esteem, respect, and you value your integrity and such. Then you're able to sort of dance with the flames, so to speak. It's a little bit like playing with fire, yes, but it comes with experience. So at first, for a novice, you may say, exercise your boundaries, go no contact, keep away, because fire is dangerous and you're not experienced or skilled enough to know how to deal with it. And not to brag, to make it sound like I'm some sort of fire expert or something like that. But as you all should really be by now with your interactions and engagements with people, there are probably statistically a percentage of your interactions that you are unaware of who you're dealing with, really. So for someone to say to me, but Billy, how can you be interacting with someone that you recognize might not be healthy? They might be a bit toxic. I'm actually at a better advantage than, say, you who might be unaware that you are interacting with someone unhealthy and toxic. At least I know. And as such, because I have an awareness, I'm able to disengage at my leisure, as it were. And overall, the reason why I may continue, partly because if we're going to have this scaredy cat mentality towards boo, I saw a goose kind of thing, you're going to have to basically live on an island, because if you're in a city particularly, or in any kind of dense population, you're going to be bumping into people left, right, and center. So I'm not one who likes to let fear make decisions for me. And my curiosity and intrigue is what keeps me in such spaces. And fundamentally, I take it as an opportunity to learn. How else would I be giving you this information or this sermon or this rhetoric this evening, had it not been for numerous encounters over my years with various colorful people, shall we say, mental disorders from all walks of life, young, old, male, female, religious and non-religious, spiritual and not, covert and overt, grandiose, cerebral, somatic. Even when I pause to think of and record some of that, it's like, oh yes, I forgot about some of those people. And so it comes with an element of level of skill, and hopefully the goal, even though I'm talking to you this evening with a sinister undertone, underbelly, because I am intentionally trying to stir some emotions in those listening. And I want you, for the sake of following this along, to entertain me, to go along with it. If you feel unsettled, if you feel creeped out, if you feel maybe itchy, or however your fear response signals to you, then allow it to happen so that it can register in your mind. This will be in part an education in some emotional literacy, emotional intrigue, and in turn you'll be able to hopefully take that information and go forward to start to have better mastery of your emotional regulations, so that in the end, when you hear this being played back to you, it is much more comical, shall we say. Because really the predator is a buffoon, and once you see through the veil, through the mask, there isn't really any substance there to be taken all that seriously. I speak now in a semi-dichotic kind of way. On the one hand, I'm telling you to take it seriously, that these predators are out for your blood. But having gained the skills and experience and the insight and knowledge, etc., then you can quell your anxieties and relax to some degree. Don't become complacent, but you can move with much better confidence instead of bravado. You can be, you can ascertain with some certainty that you know what you're actually doing, and you're not just blagging it. You're not just self-deluding. So anyway, I covered the first main issue that came to that perked my ears, that caught my attention, that being the topic of women in men's spaces. Hold on. Okay. Now, logic, only zone. If you maintain how you're speaking as you are, kind of thing, then you can hang around. But if you start acting like a dickwad, or any one of you for that matter, then you're going to get the boot. Pretty simple as that. If I can't consume you, if I can't get you to behave yourselves and fall in line and be under my control, then I will execute you. Deal? All right. Let's continue. And to those who have just come in, Bandit, David, Rusty Rivers, anyone else, great to have you here. Thank you for coming along. So the second issue that came to my attention was a particular woman. Not one that is unique in any sense of the word, causing, how should we say, what, drama? I mean, let's be a bit more creative than that, shall we? Causing, being a riffraff or whatever. Now, from my perspective, like, you can always say, listen, an abuser, by definition, must abuse. A manipulator must manipulate. A thief must steal. Otherwise, if they don't, they'd be a pretty crap thief or crap abuser or manipulator. So a woman bringing drama, causing disruption, seeking attention, I mean, what else are you going to expect? It's nothing new under the sun in that sense. But what kind of bothers me is despite, and this is another area where I want to emphasize with the men. Like, we like to talk good game, that we're red-pilled, hey? that we use our critical thinking, that we control our emotions, right, all very good sounding things, but are we really? Are you really? Because how is it a woman is able to infiltrate a men's space, despite men saying they don't want women entering this space, and cause such a disruption? And what's sort of amusing from my perspective in my ivory tower is that the men can see it happening, at least the ones that she's engaging with here. They can see that she's deflecting, distracting, being avoidant, and controlling and dominating and all this sort of stuff. They can see that she's trying to stir the pot, and yet they don't realize that she is playing yet like an even bigger game. Because despite all that happening, I mean, how long was that stream? A couple of hours? During all of that time, who was the one really in control of the situation? Was it the men? Not really. They might have liked to think they were. It was her. Even though she was getting called out, caught out, even though she was getting exposed, remember, negative attention is still attention. What does it matter? Her prerogative was to be in the limelight, was to dysregulate, to destabilize the men in her presence, and to drink their souls, just as I am drinking the happy thoughts and memories of my last victim here in my cup with 2 sugars and milk, which is getting cold. So I see the incident being an opportunity for a bit of reflection or insight, or a bit of a reminder, a bit of a wake-up call. I think is a bit more what I'm trying to press forward here with people. This idea of complacency, negligence, and believing, because obviously it's very uncomfortable to want to admit that maybe, just maybe, you're vulnerable, that you're exposed, that you're sensitive, that you're hurt, that you could be bleeding out. You don't want people to know this. You know, I used to have pet guinea pigs. And one of the things I learned about guinea pigs is that you have to be very careful in terms of their health, like keeping an eye. If a guinea pig gets ill, the animal tries to mask it because it doesn't, because naturally, you know, it's a vulnerable kind of animal. So displays of injury or illness puts its life in jeopardy. So when it comes to being an owner of guinea pigs, you have to be particularly on the lookout for signs of illness or injury, because the animal is going to try and hide it as best they can. And it's a little bit like the men, like guinea pigs, cute fuzzy little bundles of joy, like little pets, all in this cafeteria waiting to be devoured. So those are the two things that come to mind anyway in the recent days, which I feel, at least with men spaces, male communities, etc., the manosphere, for instance, they need to be pulling up their socks. They need to be trying to slow down the hysteria, not to be so impulsive, not to be triggered into survivalistic, instinctual reactions, reactions versus responses or responding. Um, think before you act, that kind of stuff. Because it does take an element of in-house vigilance. We're meant to be bros before hoes, right? So we need to be able to pay close attention to one another. Are you all right? I noticed something. Something seems off. You don't have to tell me, or we don't have to hug it out or something like that, but just so that you know that I know that I can see something's not quite right. And if I am truly, authentically concerned for you, then I owe it to you, because I respect you, to let you know. And maybe it might be a false alarm. Better than being deluded in your sense of self-security, eh? Right. And I suppose there might be a third point. I've got some notes to the side here. Will be careful of a closed-mindedness. Like, I don't need to hear that. Yeah. I've heard it all before. I've got it. I've got it under control. This is poppy talk. If you're not careful, this is trying to convince yourself otherwise. And tied in with the first observation, or the issue of not wanting women in the spaces, doesn't necessarily mean you're not going to value a woman's perspective, or anyone's perspective for that matter. We speak of wanting a broad mind, or to have a open mind, or an encompassing mind. We don't like having blind spots, because these are vulnerabilities. Although we must acknowledge that, as much as we don't like it, inevitably it's part of. You don't have eyes in the back of your head, quite literally. So we have to learn to live with such weaknesses. And this is why you would have, hopefully, good friends that you've done a bit of you've vetted them, as it were, so that they got your back. They got your six. And should they come to your aid, your rescue, you could be humble enough to be willing to listen to what they have to say, instead of telling them to F off or something like that. Because, it, as a defensive, reactive response, because you don't like the revelation of having such blind spots, or being caught with your pants down, figuratively speaking. You want to take it psychologically further, because that means you have a lack of self-awareness, you have a lack of situational awareness, you're vulnerable, your chances of survival have gone down, because there you are, with your dick hanging out your pants. Sorry to be so crude. And there's an element of, speaking of male genitalia, but dick policing. You tell me what to be doing, and I tell you what to be doing, and this is how it's supposed to be, and it's the blind leading the blind if we're not careful. There are many opinions. Look how much arguments are created for a long time just on what is the definition of a red pill. And let me tell you my definition, as if it's Bible or gospel. So Where is the middle ground here? Where is the compromise? Where is the gray between the black and the white? How are we going to take this from a simplistic lower level of education to a more mastery understanding where we can appreciate the nuances, that things might not be so cut and dry or simplistic? And I don't have an answer for that. This is something that we as a community, as a society, we need to be working towards, I feel. All right, let me check on the chat. Are we still going on about this troll thing? How dare you not give me your attention? I'm here nattering away for 46 minutes, and I've got you people going on about trolls. No, if you are a troll, can you just cut that shit out? At least for the time being. You know, like today I vow not to be a troll or something like that. Give it a try, like a costume. You can revert back to being a troll tomorrow if that's what you want. But if it's causing a big kerfuffle, then damn it, do I have to do something about it? All right. I see Bandit's written something actually a bit useful here. Remember the poison. Oh, hold on, Bandit. I'll display it for you. Remember the poison fruit. If you don't vet the people, they will just report you and get the channel banned. It's one stupid thing and then ban. Well, this is the unfortunate thing. I mean, if they report me and get my channel banned, then they're not going to have a space to be able to troll me anymore. So they're just going to be shooting themselves in the foot. If you're going to be a troll, not you, Bandit, whoever is going to be a troll and try and pull a stunt like that, come on, think, use some intelligence. You've got a brain in that cranium of yours, then that'd be a silly thing to do to get me banned, because then how are you going to troll me? Right, moving forward. Now, I did write a fun little script here. A little bit of creative writing. And then I'm going to start moving this conversation towards, I suppose, the strategies or tactics, things to be a bit more astutely aware of what's happening, taking around each and every one of you listening. So let me have a quick sip of my my happiness tears. Oh, it's getting colder and colder. I thought you people are meant to be warm-blooded. Right. So let me just try and clear my throat. Try and make it sound a bit deeper and more menacing. So this is an imaginative interpretation of what is rattling around in the subconscious of the predator's mind, as it were. Gather round, my dear sweet supply, bring me your food. Unsuspecting sheep, I smell your fears. Tonight I come to you as a predator, so you will understand how vulnerable you truly are. Be afraid, be concerned, be unsettled. The more your emotions run wild, the better I feed upon your soul. I will use your insecurities, your anxieties, your fears. As a predator who needs you to fuel me, I will never stop. I will consume you. How dare you be entitled to what is my entitlement? You may believe you are safe, you are secure, you are stoic, whatever little lies you need to tell yourself. Make bold statements, make proclamations, slip further into your delusion. It matters not. You are already in my grasp. Even if you manage to escape, I will follow. No boundaries or limitations can ever stop me. I occupy your mind, your thoughts, your dreams. I am what keeps you on your toes. You need me as a reflection to what is safe. You do not know because you have never lived before my reach of influence. I am what it is you can trust, consistent in my pursuit, relentless in my hunger. I am your stability, and I will corrupt all that you love, value, and hold so dear, so that you are willing to give yourself over to me. All with you unaware, all with you believing you have control. What better way to extract your blood as I drink you dry? Your communities are at my convenience. Cowarded, disorientated, confused little snacks, bickering among yourselves and fighting for dominance within your own pecking order. You make it that much more easier for me to slide in. I am one of you, dear brothers. You are one of me. Hear my woes and welcome me into your embrace while I poison the well from which you all drink. Soon, dear brothers, soon, when it starts to take effect, you will be at my mercy begging for solutions, and I will give them to you for a cost that you will never be free. What were your morals, your principles, ethics, and values will be the very binds I use to enslave you. How now do you wish to proceed? Which of your brothers are going to hope? Which of your brothers are you going to hope can save you? Which do you trust? They will unwittingly be helping me secure you. I hope that was, I don't know, spooky. Halloween's come early. But that is the point. I hope you took that in. Absolute, good seeing you here. Johnny Midnight, good seeing you here. Tim El Gato, good seeing you here. Shinobi One, I don't think I said hi yet, but good seeing you here, brother. I'm just skimming the comments. I'm not sure if people are going to be wanting to jump on the panel, but I suppose I'll put an invite or open it up. Look, I'm not. See, on the one hand, part of me is not really interested in knowing what kind of drama is going off in my channel, but because I'm sort of playing the selfish predator here this evening, I'm a bit insulted. Like, damn it, like, you know, I'm putting on a show, and I've got this going on. I mean, what's really going on is that I'm mentally being divided because I'm trying to concentrate on what the stream and what I've written here, and then I'm being distracted by what's going on in the chat. So I'm like, oh, my mind can't calibrate, and that is in part why I don't really want to be pulled aside. Maybe I will start having mods. But anyway, so I'm going to move into the pretty much the last section of notes, and I'm getting close to, you know, running out of steam or whatever. I hope you've been enjoying this topic and taking the overall message of what I'm trying to convey on board. basically what I'm trying to say to the guys in the community is, can we slow down a little? Can we cover our bases, dot our T's and, well, I mean, cross our T's and dot our I's, because it's one thing to point your fingers and be like, hey, I see infiltrators, I see chameleons. Yeah, but what about all the other ones that are slipping under the radar because you're now distracted dealing with whatever bozo that's in front of you? You know, there are for everyone that you can identify and point out or whatever that you expose, you can bet your bottom dollar that there's going to be a bunch more that truly have infiltrated, you know, and they're trying to poison the well. There's and people are talking about me with rhetoric. They're the ones who are with their own set of beliefs and ideas and trying to corrupt principles, ethic, values, and everything you hold so dear, and whatever. They're the ones who are going to corrupt your support structure, your friends, and your family. And if you want to see this being paralleled in other communities, go over to a narcissistic survivors community and you'll see it all happening over there. You'll hear millions of accounts of people talking about how their relationships with their ex and the family dynamics that are attached to them. The mother and the father and the brothers and the sisters they get dragged in, and then the victim is all alone, isolated, and has to start a new life because they couldn't convince. They had this entitled belief, their own narcissism is telling them that they can convince flying monkeys that are in bed with the enemy to see what's going on, and they try and bring them over to their side. You know, that's not going to happen. You're not going to understand that initially at first, but getting through with knowledge and experience, you'll realize that it's a common it's not really a phenomena, but to them in the beginning it seems baffling. They don't understand why is it when I tell people the truth that their spouse is a narcissist, why is it they don't want to listen and join me in my escape? Well, of course they're not going to join you in your escape, because one, the narcissist has already badmouthed you before you ever had a chance, and two, you know, they're like in a shared psychosis and delusion. For them to abandon a narcissist is like committing suicide, and you're expecting them to do that and run off with you into the night. You're the one that's the scapegoat. You're the one that's blamed as the instigator and the troublemaker. They don't want to come run away with you and be on yours, you know, because they fear the wrath, the punishment coming their way. So I mean, that's just a couple of simplistic explanations as to why, but that kind of strategy is being played out in the men's spaces very recently. Divide. Who can you trust? I thought you were my friend. I thought we were brothers. What happened to all this red pill? I thought this and that. What does that sound like? That's emotional language. I've been betrayed. You know? I can't trust you anymore. I don't know who to trust. And who is the one, you know, you could start, well, we'll try and find someone accountable. We'll try and find someone to blame. Someone's got to be responsible for this. And while you're all kind of like twiddling your thumbs and you know, being bamboozled, who's come in here during the night and eating all the pies, eh? So we've got some sort of ghost. A ghost is in. A ghost is stealing from us. A ghost is playing tricks on us or something like that. It's like, not if you bloody pay attention instead of having tunnel vision. The reason why you got tunnel vision, because you're being pushed, you're being corralled into a survivalistic mindset. Danger, danger, I haven't got time to think. Well, this is why it's important to slow down, so that you not only are you controlling your emotions, so that you're not going to be like trigger happy and just reactive, instinctual, but you'll also gain a better perspective. And isn't that really what red pill is meant to be in part about? You're moving at your own pace, not being made to feel like you're well, it shows you a demonstration of how you might think you have control of your emotions or your sense of being or whatever, but it doesn't take much for someone to hijack the steering wheel of your car and go for a little spin with you in the passenger seat. Anyway, I think I made my point, even if it's convoluted. So some of the tactics, and this is pretty much an endless list, so you feel free to add your own kind of thing. There's common terminology that is becoming more evident, like, oh, you're being gaslit, obviously. So that doesn't really need much of an explanation. We'll have obviously like moving the goalpost. So then, then conversation. This is what that woman was doing in Hermit's stream. I'll name drop the stream there, where the whole purpose of her being there apparently was to explain herself on a particular occasion, and instead it's being the subject matter is shifting and sliding and being taken in all sorts of directions. Other people are being the focus of attention now, and so this person is moving the goalpost, and the guys are taking the bait and following along, which is sad to see. And that's why I'm saying that she's running rings around them, and it's sad, or it's upsetting for me to say that, but you don't, as guys especially in particular, we know we don't need to explain ourselves, and we don't need to play into these games. So who's responsible for that? Is it her fault for pulling this stunt, or is it unfortunately more likely the case that it's the guy's fault for taking the bait? But and obviously maybe like they aren't aware they were even doing it, but that's one of the points of having this discussion, which is to be more aware of what's happening and how easily your puppet strings are being pulled, because you might not like the idea of being a puppet, but unfortunately for a lot of guys, like it or not, strings are still attached to us. We are not completely cut off from being puppeted, but what we can do is have the realization and awareness that these strings are still attached, and that some arsehole on the other end could be pulling them if we're not careful, or if we allow it to happen. At least that in some ways gives us an advantage or a better ability to then be able to have some self-control, rather than denial, a delusionary aspect of denial. So a moving goalpost, and then people taking the bait and following it. And typically, when you're having your interactions, if you remind yourself that whatever is being said, it's almost like the words don't matter. A different game is being played under the surface. It's how does a con artist, how does a pickpocket steal your wallet? They distract you with one hand while the other hand is going through your pockets. Or how does a magician do their tricks with like smoke and mirrors and distractions so that you don't see it happening? Once you know the tricks, the illusion or the con artistry fails. And that's what we kind of have going on here. These people, these predators are con artists. They're thieves. Lie, cheat, and steal is their motto. And so if you remind yourself while listening, whilst filtering out what is being said to you, because it's all in bad faith, you know it's disingenuous, really. The reason why it's being said is not on this. It's not what it is claiming to be on a superficial, upfront level. Something has happened. You're being deceived with these. I mean, it's almost like witchcraft and spell binding. But the point is that that can give you a bit of separation, so you're not taking the bait and then being pulled along because they decided they want to bring in someone else's name and make the spotlight of accusation now point at someone else as a deflection. You can realize that what's going on there, for instance, is a element of control has to be maintained. This is why when people say, oh, so and so is attention seeking, that's not good enough an explanation. What's the point? For what sake? For what end? What's the attention seeking for? It's not really in of itself, because what does it do for it? It's doing something. Otherwise, they wouldn't be doing it. Attention seeking is a process. It's not the outcome or the goal or the destination. Why are they attention seeking? What is it they hope to? What kind of attention are they wanting? And what is the significance of this? What does it matter? And often, in some shape or form or another, it comes back to a sense, it signals to the predator type person. It signals control. It signals that their facade, their narrative, their belief that their false mask is real, this false identity of theirs is real. And this is what fuel and supply is in part all about. So when you hear people talking about fuel and supply, it is to be fed into control. Control is number one, primary prerogative, so to speak. You know, the predator's mind is working from a survivalistic point of view, so they have to what's the word? I'm thinking of inventory, but it's not inventory. Like stack up their order of priorities, and number one will be control, and followed by the fuel and supply. Because what's the point of having fuel and supply if you can't control it? So that's why control is paramount of importance. And if you have control, you can then dictate what kind of supply comes your way. So more often than not, be it attention seeking, be it gaslighting, be it withdrawal, be it silent treatment, be it you name it, parental alienation, be it financial abuse, all sorts. It all comes under this umbrella of control. And if you're not going to be able to have control of your own sensibilities, your awareness, your emotions, your self, your image of your own sense of self, etc., then if you're not going to be in control of your own puppet strings, then someone else will happily do it for you. So I'll quickly cover some other ones. I mean, so there's an obvious like refusal of taking ownership or accountability, responsibility, denial of answering your questions, denying you of closure. I think that one gets slightly overlooked a bit. People don't realize that, which is, like if someone decides to give you the silent treatment, they're denying you what you feel like you're entitled to, like an answer, an explanation, and they're not going to let you have that. Why give you the satisfaction? Remember, like they have the audacity to feel as though they're entitled to your life, and they're gonna be accountable to you. They're gonna answer your questions. Don't be ridiculous. They're gonna submit to your interrogation. Psh, get out of here. You're more delusional than they are. And then destabilize you will be pretty high up on that list. You know, part gaslight you, get you steaming, get you fuming, get you riled up, get you effing and blinding, getting you destabilized in one shape or form or another. However, which way, doesn't really matter. The point is that once you're destabilized, once you become erratic, once you become emotional, bingo, the hard part is done, really. I can't think of a analogy right now, but I don't know, something like you take an axe to a giant's ankle, you start chipping away at the giant's legs, you be sure that the giant's going to come down, it's going to follow. And then a big one that I want people to perk up awareness on, because they're reliant on your passivity, your passive listening or passive reading, or you shut down and you're no longer on the ball. You're no longer attentive to what's happening around you. You've gone to sleep. You've been lulled into a hypnosis. And again, it could come in different forms. It could come in sweet pleasantries. It could come. I mean, how many of you have felt thirsty this evening hearing me talk about drinking cups of tea? Or how many of you, with a bit more preparation, I should have had some product placement and see how well that would have worked. But you get the idea. And so they can plant seeds to germinate. And obviously, a popular one will be to just blast you with volume and heightened emotional tantrums to exhaust you until in the end you just say, oh, I give up, whatever, you win, have it your way. So be aware of becoming passive. Be aware of things that are trying to be snuck past your defense system, your senses. And it's constantly happening. It can be a multi-prong attack. And with that, I'm pretty much finished here. So I'm pretty much wrapping it up. So let this be a lesson, or let this be a service announcement for some self-defense mental martial art, ninjutsu, to better self-defend yourself. Tongue twister there. Because and to update your skill set, because if they can't penetrate your defenses one way, they're going to go with another, and it might not be them. They might get a flying monkey to do it for them. They might try and corrupt your well-intended support network. They might not be meaning to do you harm, but if pronounced to their awareness, they don't realize they could be jeopardizing your safety. Isn't it like the road to hell is paved with good intentions? So now, any questions, any particular comments that I should read? How do I? Oh, sorry, I left Bandit's comment on the screen for ages, and because you guys have been talking, I don't know how do I get rid of that comment. No offense, Bandit. Oh, there it is, all the way up here. All right. So any comments? Anything anyone want to say? Like, is there something they want to go on a panel and just hash it out quickly? I'll take that as a no then. Okay. Okay. Well, thank you all for joining and giving me your undivided attention. Thank you very much. And allowing me to suck your souls dry through your belly buttons. I will grant you your freedom to go and do as you feel like now. You have my permission. And next time, I don't know, next time I want you all to be bringing a notepad. How about that? You thought I was going to be abusive and say I want you to bring me your wine, or bring me your wallets. Bring me your wallets. I missed out on a golden opportunity there. Yeah. So next time, bring your notepad and a pen. And take care. Be safe. Be well. Try to slow things down. Try to regulate calm your emotions. Think before you act. And if there are pressing issues, you don't have to publicly make it a dramatic, show of display for everyone. You could most likely have it privately. And feel free, if ever you want to talk to me privately, you may do the same. So I bid ye farewell.